Or you could just grow it internally.
How are you going to go grow rice underground?
You have UV lights. You have what they call those water systems, the water plant systems.
Agriculture systems.
It's one of the things you used to grow weed.
Thank you very much for joining this episode of Film Club. I'm one your host, Andy Harrison. To my right, as always, it's the weed growing Andy Donaldson.
I can't remember what they're called though.
Every single week in Film Club, we invite you along to watch a film with us. We dive into some of cinema's best before coming back here to talk it out. Andy, we started a rough patch last week.
Hydroponic,
yeah. We started a rough patch discussing Mad Max. We're going through the whole Mad Max series at the moment, and last week was Mad Max 1. Didn't go so well.
No, we didn't like Mad Max.
No.
The original. So we start today. Mad Max 2.
Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior. Sometimes only referred to as The Road Warrior.
Is it?
Sometimes only referred to as Mad Max Road Warrior. Why not? Because apparently cinema marketing is fucked and no one knows how to actually sell things to people. So, give us a rundown. What is Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior all about?
No, we go in, we kill. No more talk, we kill. What's it?
Just walk away. You can all leave now. Just walk away.
Road Warrior is about, it takes on from the original Mad Max, and it's Mel Gibson who's become a bit of he's just kind of survivalist. He's in his souped up V8. Is it turbocharged? Is that what they call it?
They call it the Interceptor.
V8 Interceptor. And he's in his car just like fucking running away from people, trying to skive a bit of petty when he can. And there's these
petrol for everybody at home.
Sorry, and there's these Raj guys coming behind him, trying to nick his petrol as well.
Sorry, petty, please.
Okay, and they're like all like leather bound, like kind of something to see a fallout, something that wasn't actually in Mad Max 1 really. And then Mad Max goes on, and he kind of like fucks them people off, makes this guy really angry. This guy's pivotal to the later part of the film. And he finds like a gyrocopter, and then this guy's like, "Oh, I've caught you." And Mad Max turns around and goes, "No, actually, I've got you, mate." He goes, "Oh shit, no, let me free. I'll let you know to this settlement that's got a bit of oil." So he goes to this settlement. Originally, they're a bit like, "We don't trust you, mate." But he's just like, "Well, I saw one of you guys like kind of and his mates get like dicked over. I brought him back to you. He's like semi-alive."
That is a terrible use of the word "dicked over," given what happens.
Yeah, okay, actually, that is actually sorry, yeah, my bad, because they get raped. Now he brings him back to the compound, and he's with this guy. He's like, "Look, he promised me a bit of petrol to bring him back." And
sorry,
like,
petty, please.
Petty. They're like, "No, we can't give you petty, mate." And he's like, "Ah, shit, that's crack. That shit's crack." Sorry. He goes to this guy, and this compound wants to move out to somewhere like a promised land, somewhere a bit better than where they are, because these raiders where that guy pissed off originally that I mentioned. They want to get all the petrol because they've got like an oil rig and stuff like that in it, oil refinery thing, the pump, and
they're going full Daniel Day-Lewis.
Aye, they are.
They've got the straw,
and oh god,
I drink your milkshake.
They go down, and then Mad Max says basically like the numbers dwindle, and Mad Max says basically there's this tanker, we're going to move the petrol over to this new promised land. I'll take it over for you. I'll drive the tanker. So there's this massive like kind of long road chase where he's in the tanker, a few of his mates help him out with a petty, and the bad guys are chasing after them, and you find out that it's all a diversion.
So, last week, Mad Max 1, this week, what do you think?
I loved it.
Isn't it great?
I've without saying too much, I actually started on the newest one, Fury Road, right? So that's...
You started? Oh, you saw it first.
So I saw it ages
okay.
Well, 2 years ago, a year ago, whatever it was out.
Yeah.
And I saw that and I thought, all right, okay, this is how I always thought Mad Max was. So when I watched Mad Max last week, this isn't Mad Max. That's silly. That's just stupid. As you said, budget's telling, stuff like this. And then I go and see it today and I'm like, no, this is how I thought originally before I saw the Fury Road. This is how I thought Mad Max was.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of Raj guys in the middle of the wilderness in a post-apocalyptic kind of world, all striving to survive, nicking petrol in these Raj cars.
Sorry, petty, please.
Petty. And these like kind of dune buggy cars. You got these like decked out kind of normal cars. You got these tankers, all like spikes on and stuff like that. These guys have got like, they're all seem to be in GIMP costumes.
It has way more personality than the first one
hugely.
did.
It's
When people talk about Mad Max being influential, and I don't think if Mad Max 1 had come out, okay, it was the highest grossing film of all time when it came out, but I don't think it had anywhere near the impact that this film had.
No.
This is the film when people talk about Mad Max influencing dystopian futures. This is what they're talking about, this one right here.
Yeah.
To be fair, it's kind of set a little while past the first one. It opens with a little quick summary of what happened in the first film.
which I like. I mean, I like how it does that because you could. I'm not saying you should, but you could. Well, I am saying you should. You could skip the first one, and you still know.
You should, and I think they know that. I think this film is designed to be fuck the first one.
But what a great way to do it.
Yeah.
Because that summary at the start is exactly what you needed to get through, and it sets the tone, it sets the setting, and it kind of gives you the character of why he's called Mad Max, which we didn't know fucking anything about in the first one.
And this does exactly what I was complaining. Well, no, it completely counteracts what I was complaining about in the first film. This at the beginning sets up a way cleaner narrative. It's not his wife's in the hospital and his kid was murdered and that thread doesn't go anywhere. It's no, screw that. His wife's dead, his kid's dead, this guy's alone, he's dealing with this archetypal sort of struggle. Let's go.
And it starts with him on the road. Road Warrior is the name of the actual film.
Very important.
No, but it's
very,
it's
very
true.
important.
It starts with him on the road and he's running away, which is kind of like what we all know Mad Max is about. It's about car chasing and these Raj cars.
True,
petty.
but we're basing that on looking back or with hindsight. At the time, Mad Max wasn't that. So that's set this.
My mindset of Mad Max before I saw them all was guys in Raj kind of baseball spiked tops.
Yeah, but I'm saying cast your mind back to early 80s when Mad Max 2 hasn't come out yet. Mad Max isn't that yet.
Oh, so you're saying that this is the film that defined what we think, and okay,
and that's where the praise should come from. Not by living up to what Mad Max is, but by defining what Mad Max is from the get go.
Oh yeah, I get that. I get that.
It's totally balls to the wall, campy 80s. It's totally very sort of over the top, a little bit sort of too stylized for its own good. But it totally just revels in it. Rather like last time, we had the guy who was called the toe cutter.
Yeah, toe cutter, yeah.
Something like that. And he's got a little bit of a rough face, but he's just wearing some slightly odd clothing. There's the guys that are the police who are wearing leather jackets and stuff. And everyone's got a little bit of a style, but the police station's totally run down sham. But then you got the hospital and the hospital is really clean. And the world doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Here, they totally had the budget to make a world that made sense. This was a world that has collapsed and people are living on the road and scraping around for some petrol and they're trying to dig up oil and oil becomes this huge commodity, which means people get absolutely slaughtered and just decimated. And some of these people have gone absolutely mental, but because they're able to because they're happy and willing and very, very threateningly killing and murdering and raping people, they manage to grab power. And this is a world which actually makes sense and has stakes. And they not only show those stakes, they actually show the consequence of those stakes. People get fucked in this film.
I think one of my favorite but very brutal moments was when defining the Mad Max kind of style that I remember so well played and that well said. And that is where they're actually chasing a wagon. Mad Max inside the truck, and these two captives that have been in the front of the main guy's car for a while. And these guys have been riding around just oh shit, fucking hell. And then at one point, Max decides to put the brakes on, and those guys, the thing comes off, and the face just plants into the. I was like, Jesus Christ, they're literally there. It was cannon fodder for that car.
Yeah.
I don't care if these guys get brutally splattered.
They ramp up their stylization of that as well by showing elements of that quite a lot.
Look at that the boomerang where it cuts off that guy. He tries to catch it, and it cuts off his fingers.
Yeah, and
they're all laughing.
The counterpoint to this is in the first one where Goose gets blown up in the car. He burns, and you never see it. It's always cut around because they didn't have the budget to do it, and it was more of a suggestion thing. But the problem is in Mad Max, it's not like Jaws where it works. In Mad Max, it didn't work. It felt like a budget constraint. And this is just them being balls to the wall, let's show everything. We've got the money to do this. Let's play around with it, let's see what we can do with it. But they also don't just rely on it. One of my favorite moments is very early on where he comes across the truck and he opens the truck door and the dead body falls out.
Oh, yeah.
And they just give you a couple frames of the guy's face before cutting away.
Yeah.
Because they know that's creepier and that's more disturbing.
Yeah, because he's trying to... Do you know what it reminds me of? Those kind of moments. It reminds me of, and you're gonna laugh at me here. One of the films I just could not cope with when I was younger was The Ring, and it goes. I can still remember her face, and it cuts to her
remember
face,
this.
then it cuts off, and that is like fucking embedded in my head. But I can't quite remember the exact face, and I then go on Google and look at it, and it's that's a bit of an extreme reference to point at it, but like it's those little kind of snippets that you remember, and you're just like, yeah, do you remember that fucking scene? Yeah.
And then I found this other nice little mirror, and it's. Do you remember that first film? They're riding around the roads, and the roads are all clean and beautiful, and like there's little fences by the roads, and there's road signs, and they're like riding around, like chasing each other, and they keep passing like lorries and trucks and stuff.
Oh god, yeah.
But then here, when they come across a lorry for the first time, it's broken down. It's in a crash. It's kind of like one of the cars on its side, I think, and just that wonderful mirroring of how the two films approach other people in the world. And Mad Max 2 totally feels like a believable world. Whereas Mad Max 1, I felt like I could see how they were shooting around the real world around them. I felt like in Mad Max 1, I felt like I could almost see someone just off screen holding up the traffic while they were getting a shot. But in Mad Max 2, I was totally involved in that world. And, better yet, characters.
Yeah.
No one gets immense character arcs, but everybody gets character personality.
Like the gyrocopter guy.
Gyrocopter guy, whose
like how
name
he-
I can't remember. It's something ridiculous.
He comes in, he tries to get better at Max, and he's like, no, he becomes a bit of a little weedy kind of guy. Then he goes to the settlement, he walks off, then he goes and helps Max. Then he takes Max over to this place. He's like, oh, you're going to leave me? He was like, and then Max buggers off. This guy actually comes back to the compound to help these guys. He finds a girl. He's like, yeah, I like you, mate. Oh, not mate, to the girl. And then he helps Max at the end.
And then even small characters get personality, like the two mechanics,
Oh, yeah.
where he's like, how long is it going to take?
Oh, God.
That
was funny.
24 hours?
That reminded me of Monty Python, you know. He goes, he's death. Yeah.
So
So,
like,
remember that.
unnecessary to give them personality, but it works so well. It makes you
Yeah.
care about everybody, so that when those guys come to the knocking at the doors and they're like, "You've got 24 hours to figure out if you want to live or die," you start to feel those stakes a little bit.
Yeah.
Add into it, like we were saying, there's consequence to all this, and the most heartbreaking consequence this entire film is everybody's favorite character gets killed off.
The doggy.
The dog.
Yeah, I was just straight away, fucking thank God this guy's not John Wick.
Within the first 10 minutes of this film, 15 minutes of this film, I was on board because of one reason.
The doggy.
There was a dog who was in charge of a shotgun. And that is filmmaking genius right there.
But it also helped as well with the dog, like the dog character, and obviously like at the end where the dog passes away. He's like, you know, the reason we're doing this series, or one of the reasons we're doing the Mad Max series, is because we play the game Fallout an awful lot. Andy introduced me, and one of the characters in Fallout was Dogmeat, and he was in Fallout 4 when I went to my survival mode. Dogmeat was my fucking boy. He was the guy I took around everywhere because that guy was just he was just class.
And you can just, like, that dog is dog meat.
Yeah,
That's
exactly. It's
clearly
just
where
like kind of
Dogmeat
like a
was from.
scruffy little
Even down to, like, you know, the Bethesda putting the fact that you can put a handkerchief around your dog meat's neck.
Yeah,
and so
exactly,
it's because
exactly.
he's wearing one.
And it's just everything about that. So when that and then when obviously the dog died, I was like, you fucking dickheads like this. So yeah,
All that stuff goes so far in making the final confrontation, that final attempt at escaping, feel so tense and
Yeah.
feel like at any point, Max could just die here. Like,
yeah.
he could totally
He
fail.
felt very vulnerable. I liked how the like his leg brace. I think that's from the previous
Yeah,
film when he
yeah.
got shot. Was it shot or when the arrow?
He gets shot when the motorbikes are coming towards him.
Yes, he
doesn't
does. Yeah, sorry. So he's got the leg brace from there. He's obviously beaten up from the car accident. And he's like, I'll drive your truck, and his eyes out all like that.
Yep.
And
And
it's like, yeah,
everyone
obviously-
around him's dying.
Yeah. I mean, even I called him Richard, you know, that little...
He looks like Richard, doesn't he?
Oh, my God,
Oh,
yes.
yes.
He looks like my little brother Richard. So ever since I saw him going, I was thinking, that is Richard. So even Richard gets knocked out a little bit, but he survives.
Yep.
And what a great revelation where at the end, he's actually the narrator of the film.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, it's well played, because, you know, you had Richard there just like, I couldn't talk. He was like, like this.
And I really appreciate that it's not just a brute force action sequence that wins out the day. Even though the thing gets flipped, you have that nice little sort of little bit of lovely sort of script writing twist where it's actually sand that they were driving out in that direction.
That was awesome.
And the
That
oil
was
is going
so
in the
good.
other direction.
That was so good. I really enjoyed that because I saw it come out like when it was crashed, and I was like, oh, that's a shame. And why is it not blowing up and all this? Anyway, I was like, why is sand coming out with it? Are they looking because they're like, oh, the oil's mixed with the sand. We can't really you can get it now. And then Max comes out later on, and it's actually sand coming out, and I was like, oh, I've been deceived.
Because a film like this could have so easily rested on its laurels of like good aesthetic design and great costume and world building and action sequences, and they could have just settled there. But obviously, the writers wanted to make sure this was also a step up in terms of writing, and it totally is.
So it has a budget 10 times. It has a budget of 4.5 million.
I don't think
Australian dollars.
I've ever seen a film in such a dramatic way go from having a lackluster letdown of a first entry to this amazing construct of style and tone in the second entry. I'm just blown away by it.
I think this is one of the top contenders for what film is better than what sequel is better than the original.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
Like many people say Terminator 2, or there's a couple of others as well, like Aliens.
So I
But
actually,
for this, I'd say it's definitely up there.
I actually tweeted about this over the week, and people replied with first that someone said Terminator 2. My argument was that actually Terminator 1's already pretty good. Someone else said
It's been a long time. Let's do them.
Someone else said The Dark Knight,
Yes.
which again suffers from the same problem that I think that the first one, that Batman Begins, is already brilliant.
Yeah.
And then someone else said Spider-Man 2, which same problem. Like the problem is every time people come back with it, most time you get a sequel because your first film was already really good.
Yeah. But to have this where it's
And I appreciate there's going to be people out there who love the first Mad Max, and you know what, more power to you. But I cannot watch that film again. I never want to see that film again in my
You've
life.
seen it twice now, haven't you?
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to watch it.
I would happily watch this again. I almost did.
Did you?
Yeah, before.
I actually saw you. I saw you tweet. Actually, I saw you. I was on Twitter for some reason, and I saw him, and he was like, "Oh my god, Mad Max!" And I can't believe all this. You were using all the filmic handy kind of stuff that you use.
That was exactly what I did. It was hand motions as well. Just
It
picture me doing
looked like you were typing this, going like this, typing like that, and I was like, "All right." Andy enjoyed it. It was before I watched it, so I was looking forward to it.
So I'm glad we have both enjoyed this because you can let us know what you thought of Mad Max 2 down in the comments below, or you can hit us up on Twitter, as always. But yeah, I am glad we enjoyed this because coming up next is a film I have not heard good things about. That is
Really?
Beyond Thunderdome.
So our girlfriend said it was all right.
Right, okay, that's
Yeah,
interesting.
she was like, "Oh, it's all right."
So we'll see you back here next week for Mad Max 3, Beyond Thunderdome. Let's take a look.
Take us home, mate. I'll give you some pity.
Take me home,
No.
country road, to the place I belong.
I'm cutting the audio here.
West Virginia, Mountain Mama.